What is going on, Emotional Fam? It's Remo coming at you guys, bringing you a brand new podcast, and I'm super stoked to bring you guys this one because sitting with me today in the same room, first time trying this out, is my brother. I'm gonna go ahead and give him a second to introduce himself to you guys. Go for it.
My name's John, and I've been Marco's brother for Marco's whole life. I am older. I don't know. Growing up with this kid has been interesting.
To say the very least.
To say the very least. He used to take all my PS2 time and play all my PS2 games.
Yeah, that's actually something I definitely want to start off with, but first, we gotta crack open the cold one, John. We gotta crack open the cold one together. Ready? Three.
Oh, it's not cracked yet.
Three.
It's psst.
2, 1, go.
Alright.
I know tradition. I'm trying
Cold one, not beer.
Yeah, I'm drinking an Arizona Arnold Palmer strawberry.
I'm drinking a Red Bull Kiwi. I've got an Arizona iced tea on deck.
Ooh, on deck. All right. So, like I said, guys, this is the first podcast where I'm where I'm actually doing this in person with somebody. I really want to get into doing this more. I have 2 different webcams set up in my room, trying to test out with like one single microphone. I really want to get better equipment down the road, but this is gonna do. So, like he introduced himself, he is my brother. He has known me. I've known him my whole entire life. But when it was really funny when he was talking about, I used to steal his PlayStation 2 games because when I was very young, 3 or 4 years old,
probably, yeah.
I was playing Grand Theft Auto in his bedroom. Grand Theft Auto 3 in his bedroom with him. And I didn't even know, like, I don't even have memories of that so very well. The only thing I can remember is just killing people.
So much to the point where we had to move the PlayStation 2 into the family room because you would always be in my room.
I don't remember that.
And I was growing up. You don't remember? You would sit against the couch and just play it all day.
I remember taking that. We had one PlayStation in the house. It was the only console at the time that we had, a PlayStation 2. Besides, like, the N64.
I had a PlayStation before that, and then we put it N64 in Ashley's room. Ashley's our sister.
Yeah, we had a PlayStation 1, and I barely used that, like, because it was to the point where PlayStation 2 is when I was born.
Right.
That's what I was into. And then we had just, like, that one main console, and I remember taking it to, like, grandma's, which was here, and, like, I didn't understand the concept of saving on a memory card, so I would get so far into Spider-Man that I would leave the game on overnight, and I'd be calling you on the phone, like, is it okay if the PlayStation's on overnight? I didn't even know how to save my game.
I remember that.
Yeah, and it was like, or there was other times where you had, like, Tekken going in your room, and you would leave it on, fall asleep because you were trying to unlock new characters, and you had to go, like, 100, 200 matches straight, and, like, every, like, 10th match you won, you got, like, a new character, something like that. So you're, like, 120 matches in, and I would go in there while you were sleeping, play, lose, and you would wake up and lose your mind on me.
Yeah.
Which was, but it was just it was like, I've been gaming for so long now. Just to think back on moments like that. And then, you got an Xbox 360. I remember when you got that Xbox 360 and you got Need for
the first week that it came out.
You were working at Best Buy. And those things were like, no one expected those to be as big as they were. And
I was there the first day. We were, it was like right before Christmas or right after Christmas when it was released. But I remember I worked the 2 busiest days that I've ever seen. It was the release of the Xbox 360, and they only took 25 people, and I think 12 people they all got tickets. So everybody who waited in line got, the first 25 got the first 25 Xboxes. And there was the 2 different Xboxes. There was the one that I think the gold, and then the silver, or whatever it was. But it was the person who got, like, the first 12 people wanted, like, the better Xbox, more memory. Can't remember what all came with it. A couple games, but it was all set up in the back room because they were worried about people getting, like, robbed.
mm-hmm.
And I just remember coming into work at like 5 o'clock in the morning to set up for all that, and all the people. It was insane.
I just remember you coming home with it, and I was like mind blown because it was like, I eventually got an Xbox in the house, like, for my birthday, and I had Halo, and I was like, dude, what's Halo? Like, Halo's the worst game ever, and you're like, you don't get it. Like, you need to play Halo. We ended up playing so much Halo together. But I remember when you got the 360 and you had Need for Speed Most Wanted, and I used to impound your cars while you were at work. And dude, I can't even tell you the number of times you just got pissed at me for doing something with one of your consoles. We ended up selling that. We ended up getting it, or I ended up getting one and being addicted to it. And then you got one back too. I think you had like the 1S, the black one.
Yeah. The first ones had so many problems with them.
They did. I have the red ring of death. That bullshit. Nightmares.
Right.
Nightmares on that. When my first Xbox 360 broke and I had to send it in, it came back. It worked.
Dude, it was like months.
Yeah, it took
had to wait.
so long. I was I was losing it, and like I wasn't into like competing yet or anything like that. I was still super young, but it was just like Halo 3 was my life, just all day Halo 3 or Left 4 Dead or whatever it was, and then it broke again, and I convinced Mom to let me tap into my savings, go buy a new Xbox. I had like $1,300 in my savings like throughout like most of my young life, and I took out like $300 for an Xbox in a game. She'd let me do that. I was like astounded, but even. So that's like what I grew up on. I want to get on. What did you grow up on? What are your consoles? What is your not esports, but what is your games that you remember? What was huge when you were a kid?
Let's work backwards. Let's go from PlayStation 2, and then we'll work backwards.
Okay.
Excuse me. PlayStation 1, I remember playing Driver all the time.
I remember Driver.
You would never get out of the car. You would just be in a car, and it didn't matter like if you were just driving on the road, just in like free drive, you would be like next to a cop or anything, and if you stopped too hard, or you like squealed your tires, or if you bumped anything in the vicinity, the cop was like pow on you. It was insane. Crash Bandicoot.
That was huge.
Which was PlayStation. That I was playing a lot.
Wasn't there a Spyro with like that dragon? That purple dragon?
Spyro too. That was on PlayStation.
I think Army Men I was playing on PlayStation 1 if I'm not mistaken. There was like the Green Army Men game.
It probably was PS2.
Yeah, never mind.
We never had an Xbox. The original Xbox.
Yeah, we did.
We had an Xbox 360.
I had an Xbox.
You had an Xbox?
Yeah, I got it for
I never got an Xbox.
You never did. I had that one. You had the PlayStation. Because like I said, it came with Halo.
Right.
And it was like the game of the decade or most anticipated game of the year. I think most anticipated of the year, and it was the original one.
Well, Xbox came out with PlayStation 2, like in the same time frame. Yeah. But I had gotten PlayStation 2 for my birthday.
And you had that for... I got
Christmas.
Xbox way longer, way later. It
right.
came way down the line, so...
Then before that was Nintendo 64.
That was awesome.
It was.
Dude, the N64 was amazing.
And the games still go, like Mario Kart, they go for still a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
Mario Kart was awesome. 007. James Bond 007.
Destruction Derby.
Game. Destruction Derby. Pilot Wings.
I remember Pilot Wings.
Pilot Wings was cool as hell.
Dude, I really wish it would make another like Destruction Derby because
we used to play that all the time.
Guys, if you guys don't know what Destruction Derby is, it's literally just there was like race
25
tracks.
cars.
Yeah, there was like you could just race, or you could just get thrown down in like a pit full of cars and just you have like so much health and you just ram into each other until your car blows up. Right. And then once your car blows up, you're done. It's like it was the dopest concept for a game, and you had those giant controllers with like the three handles as if you had three hands. It was like the weirdest controllers I've ever seen in my entire life for the N64.
Yeah, because you would either do the joystick or the directional pad.
It's weird, but what else was for that? They had Crocs Bad Fur Day.
I don't know what that is.
Really?
Yeah.
It was like Steve had it. I want to say I was playing it, and it was just like this like drunken animal. I want to say, and I like so long ago, but literally all he had to do was like he'd like go on like little quests, and he was just like this drunken like animal. It was weird. It was the weirdest game. It was very M for mature, and I was playing it at like 7.
I remember Steve was working at like Camelot, which was, if nobody knows, it's a music store that used to sell CDs. I know it sounds insane that there was a store that actually sold music to like young kids.
Stop it.
But that's, I mean, where we got all our music. But he was working at a music store, and they would rent out game consoles. And I remember him coming home with like a black briefcase one day. I was still living here when the Nintendo 64 first came out. And he came home with a black briefcase, and I was like, what is this? You know, and we were playing Super Mario, the Mario Brothers. Mm-hmm. That was like the first amazing game that was Super Mario, the one on 64, Super Mario 64.
That was one of my favorite games to play on too, because there was so much like play value to it.
Yeah.
Replay value.
And I remember me and Ashley would constantly play that game. Constantly. And the one day our cousins came over, Freddie and Brian, and they deleted. Like, we had 117 or 118 stars. I think I got 120. And they deleted the whole thing. I was so pissed.
It was even crazier because the other day on Twitch, I was watching, and they were doing Super Mario 64 had a stream going, and they were doing, like, race to who can get, like, all 120 stars first, or however many it was.
Yeah.
People were doing this, and, like, they would get, like, a whole painting done, because it went by paintings, like 5 stars per painting, in, like, 35 seconds per star. It was insanity. Like, they just knew, like, where to jump, where to go.
Right.
And I'm not 100%. I always thought that these old gaming consoles would have a bigger market to them besides just collectors, because you'd want to play these old games. But what you can do on the computer now, the computer console, if you will, it's called Steam.
Yeah.
For the main one, but then there's also, like, Battle.net, and there's a couple different clients, but Steam's the biggest one. And it has just a marketplace, and you can get, like, GameCube games, and you can just play them right there on a PC. Almost the same graphics, too. And you can plug a controller right into, you know, a keypad or keyboard or computer, whatever it is, and then you can use that keyboard. Like, I even saw on Amazon they were selling, like, Atari controllers that have USBs on them that are wireless.
Yeah. And
you're like it's cool to have the remade, but it's just, I feel like that market for those consoles just dropped. Unless you're a collector, unless you're really collecting it for the vintage to have it maybe on a shelf or something.
Right.
Because I know even the other day I plugged in, like, the GameCube we had here, and I was looking at the graphics. It was just miserable. Like, I don't know why. Like, I used to play GameCube like it was the end of me. Like, I played Sonic and Super Monkey Ball on that thing, like, religiously.
Right.
And I don't know. I just growing up with all these, like, really nice 4K, you know, games. Whatever 1080p games just made me realize that market's not as, like, for me, and even as big of a gamer as I am. But
right. But before that was Super Nintendo. We had Super Nintendo, and that was Mario again. And then Nintendo, which Nintendo with Super Nintendo constantly have to blow on the games to get them to work. I don't know what magic that was, those cartridges.
I don't know,
but it was. You just blew on them.
So unheard of.
And it worked.
So unheard of.
Open the flap in the game console and just give it a couple toots. But, and in between all that, I remember you just saying Dreamcast. Oh, Sega Genesis. Sega Genesis, I used to play at Nick's house when I would go over there. We used to play Sonic. That was, like, the first time I got introduced to video games, was Sega. Atari I never really played. I knew, you know, a couple kids of my friends that had it growing up, but I was really like, you know, what is a video game back then? I'm only 30, by the way. I'm not 40 or whatever.
50, 60. Yeah, I remember, I mean, like, just going through my years, there's been so many different generations of consoles. They've been trying so many different things, but so you have, like, the Super Nintendos and the Segas and everything like that, and you get up to the PlayStations and Xboxes, which are, like, not a monopoly, but the bigger of everything. And then you have Nintendo, which always seems to squeak its way in there somehow. Yeah. They had, like, they had, like, the DS, which was the portable. It beat, like, the PlayStation had their own, and it just wiped PlayStations out. Like, a lot of people bought it at first, and PlayStation never really pursued it. And then now you have, like, a 3DS, and you have the Nintendo Switch, and the Wii was something completely different. Like, Xbox tried to compete with Kinect. That never really went off. Virtual PlayStation with their controllers never took off, but Nintendo always has that way of just doing something different,
right?
And I mean,
something for kids.
Yeah, and they have great games like Zelda and all those Super Mario games and all that stuff like that. Is just crazy to see where it goes so quick.
Another game on Nintendo 64 was Turok. It was like this jungle dude. Like George of the Jungle dude that would, like, have knives and these insane weapons, like grenade launching things. And at the time it was like, holy hell, you know. But you would hunt dinosaurs. I mean, you'd be running, and then Pitfall.
Duke Nukem?
I never played Duke.
Really? I played it like once or twice. I was scared. I had to have Mom sit in the same room with me.
Really?
I was like, Mom, she'd be on the phone. I'd be like, can you volume down on the TV? Mom, sit in the same room with me. These lizard things that Duke Nukem are killing are scaring the hell out of me. I don't want to play
God.
It was ridiculous. I used to do that all the time. Play games with no sound. When I was playing Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, I think, one time Dad was there and he heard swearing and he freaked out.
Really?
And he was like, I don't like this. So I had to literally play on mute. Grand Theft Auto on mute.
It's so weird. That just with you, Dad has been just like, I don't know, like an old dad, you know?
I mean, like, not as recent, but like when I was growing up a lot. Like, it was like, you can't cross the street on your bike.
Yeah.
Dad. Like, it was crazy.
Right.
But, I don't know. That's a whole other topic.
He used to drink. Doesn't anymore. But on like Saturday nights, like Mom would pass out on the couch at like 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Our parents are alcoholics.
They were. they would drink a lot, but not really. But like every weekend, Mom would pass out on the couch, and me and Dad would stack like beer cans on her, cigarette packs, there were anything on the table or in the vicinity that you can grab, we would stack it and pile on the top of Mom while she was sleeping.
Christ.
Put cigarettes in her mouth, and me and Dad would just be laughing the whole time. But so after like I had PS2, me and Dad would go in my room and play like WWF wrestling for hours. Yeah. When you were a baby.
He would always try to. He was always like, "You got to teach me how to play this game," and I just never saw Dad for technology.
No, never.
Ever. I mean, like, he got a smartphone and he texts with it. Like, it's the worst crazy thing he does. But
YouTube is the best thing ever.
Right. And I'm like, dude, you got to figure out, like, there's so much. Like, we just got Mom her first iPad, which is.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know. Our parents are really bad on generation, like, or keeping up with. Technology. But I mean, Dad had a video game system. My grandma was always telling me about it. And,
but
he was like, I mean, it was like
Pong.
You know, like freaking Pong.
Just a totally generic everything.
And like every single time that I literally sit down and think about it, on like how long I've been, gaming, it's just like it doesn't end because I used to go on like funnygames.biz was the website and just play computer games like
Candyland. Yeah,
just like anything like that, anything on the computer that were like. Balloon Tower Defense, whatever it was, like I was always gaming. I don't know why it's like all coming like an epiphany right now. Like everything's been gaming since I was like 3. I haven't stopped.
Yeah, I never went to computer games. I never really played computer games ever.
Well, they were really crappy up until
yeah, they sucked.
Now it's insane. It's mind blowing what these computer games are. Just, I mean, I remember you were telling me like years ago. You were like, I think the greatest thing ever would be if you had like. Hundreds of people dropped onto an island and they fought each other to the end. And now it's a thing. It's Battlegrounds and it's H1Z1 instead of being like there is teams too.
Right.
But you drop down, you loot, and you just go. And the safe zone gets smaller and smaller, and it's like that's a thing now. And with PC games, there's just inevitably better graphics. I think there's way more PC gamers than I think console gamers. I think there's like 14 million alone that play like League of Legends and stuff like that at least in the US. And then I mean it's just PC games are nutty nowadays and they just keep getting crazier and crazier and they're cheaper too. Battlegrounds is like $40. H1Z1's like 10 or 20. So I think that's I mean you need a monster of a PC to run it compared to and you can't really take it anywhere. But, I mean, there are these LAN centers that are popping up every now and again where it's, like, a room full of computers and you can just sign on and there's every game you can ever think of on there. And then you can play with, like, your buddies that are sitting next to you and you can all meet up at the LAN center so you don't have to bring your PCs over to play games like that. That's the only downside. You can't, like, bring your Xbox over to your friend's house and play anymore. Yeah. Which is what we used to do a lot. It was just take your PS4, bring it to a grandma's house or whatever.
I remember just, like, when Jake and they don't know my buddy Jake. Huge gamer and was in that ML or not ML
WEGA or something.
Yeah,
Ultimate Gamer.
That
was crazy to watch.
Yeah, that was funny.
Fun to watch. If you guys don't know that TV show, it's like every week you compete in a new game basically against everyone in the house living with you, and like last place would get knocked out, and you do like in real life challenges for every game you can think of, and the people just sit there for like it would be like from Pac-Man to wrestling to racing, and some of the crazy stuff they had to like in a straitjacket.
Yeah.
Steering a car wheel on Need for Speed racing with like their feet in a straitjacket.
Right.
Crazy. Like that'd be. I don't know why. I feel like they rushed that show. If that was today,
oh my god,
it would be huge.
Yeah. It'd be every season.
Every year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Easily. I think that would be awesome to do again today.
But we had to take like a cord and hook it up to both Xboxes.
But System Link.
Yeah.
Which is what LAN is today.
Right.
But
we would to like play, and we'd have 2 TVs in the house. You know,
I remember that.
Yeah.
He was coming over and doing that with Halo.
Right.
We were like screwing around, like he had like every glitch in the game figured out.
I know.
He was like a modded insane. Xbox, and
he was insane with all that.
Just think of like the modded Xboxes, that crazy stuff. Like that's not really a huge thing anymore.
Right.
Like the worst thing you can do is take your keyboard and mouse, plug it into your console, and use that on like Call of Duty because it's super like overpowered. Like you have so much of an advantage to aim with your mouse. You can play on a super high sensitivity and be really accurate. It's kind of like playing like, it's just, I don't know, it's crazy. It's just what people do, and they play in these tournaments, and they take like all the money for all the tournaments. It's like a big problem right now. It's calling keyboarders.
Huh.
It's really bad.
Is it a big thing like with that red dot thing? You know what I mean? In the center of your screen? No?
No, not at all.
I figured that would be like just something that would give you an edge or something like that.
It's what's really huge for Call of Duty anyways when you're playing is centering. You want to always, well, and CSGO too. But centering so that when you turn the corner or like when you know where someone's going to be, you're always in the center of your screen, so that way when you snap your gun up, you don't have to like snap and then drag. You just want to be able to snap and shoot. So you snap, shoot, unzoom, center, snap again, so you're not just dragging because it's slower to drag.
Right.
But the only thing that really helps is you have crosshairs on the screen already, and I just feel like that's so distracting to have a glowing red dot. And I know exactly what you're talking about. It's literally a dot with a suction cup on your monitor or
right.
your TV.
Right.
I think that was more of a gag gift because my buddy Austin has one.
Or not even that. Just put like a little sticker on the center of your screen, wherever that, you know what I mean? So when you're just walking around and everything and you draw your gun, it's right there.
Yeah.
Or you just hip fire.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd ever use it. I don't know. I don't know how it would be. I'd have to test it, number one. But I know that, like, especially in, like, Counter-Strike 2, I'm just trying to figure out how the in-game mechanics would be, but to keep the crosshair at head level always. No matter where you're walking, looking, always have it at head level where you're looking, because it's, like, 1 to 2 shot headshots on that game. And
so there's a crosshair even when you're not gun up?
In Counter-Strike?
Anywhere.
In Call of Duty, there's, like, 4 little lines that, like, kind of draw out a small center. It's not exact, but it's enough. That's why I feel like it wouldn't quite be, like, a bigger thing. I don't know anything that would be, like, on your monitor to help you at that level with a center.
I think, like, I've thought this, like, for the past 5-10 years. It would be cool if, like, Google Earth came out with a game where you could actually drive anywhere in the world, like, around, and just be like everything that you could pull into your driveway in the game, you know?
Like a Grand Theft Auto, but the whole fucking
exactly,
world.
Yeah. Just pick a neighborhood, or pick, you know, to start out with.
It would have to. I mean, that's insane, kind of like.
Well, Google Maps has like all that street views and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I figured they could just render everything, and.
That's a huge download game. I feel like you'd have to do that by just like country. There's no way you could do it by world. There's just no way.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't be seeing the whole world. You know what I mean? You would pick a place, and you could just like go within, 30 miles of that place, and then you just pick another place, and you could drive around that place.
Are you talking Grand Theft Auto style, or are you just talking drive around just for in like
just
a
to
car?
drive around? I guess.
Because I was gonna say there could be a huge problem with like Grand Theft Auto, like if you dropped everyone in like a huge
go to your
major
ex-girlfriend's
city.
house, and pretend like you're shooting out her car tires in the driveway.
Jeez.
Stupid bitch!
You
ruined my life.
But we played that.
Make you feel better about yourself.
Google Earth game where you drop in the middle of nowhere. You got to figure out where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
No, but just to see where all this has come to get to here, and we're looking at virtual reality next.
I don't think that's going to be a big thing. I don't know. I mean, I'm not, gamer anymore.
Uh,
I just don't know if it's going to work, dude, because there's so many people that, like, I mean, just having that on your face and stuff like that.
I think that, well, like, I don't think it'll ever be an esport. I don't think it'll ever be something you can compete in, strictly because, like, when you're in this virtual reality headset, you need to look around to see things, and you're never going to jump 180 degrees to shoot somebody behind you. You're always going to be on a controller to do that, and you're always going to have...
I just think just, like, that coordination, you can never get it down. Because you're trying to do that, and you're not actually... I mean, you're holding two controllers. You're not actually, like, doing that crap. Like, another game was... like Ken Griffey Jr. Home Run Derby that I had when I was like when we had Super Nintendo, and you plug it into the controller, and it was a bat. It was an actual like foam bat that had some weight to it, and a controller up here, and you would swing with it.
I mean, that's what Wii is now, yeah.
Right. It was. I mean, it was like a full size bat. You like break your obviously remotes, just break stuff, but it was fun. But I just think with that thing in your head, you just can't get that hand-eye coordination that you would like to see. So maybe, like, you know how Google Glass has those glasses that are clear? I think those would work better, and have the game in there and just have a clear view of the other side. This way, you know, you see your surroundings, but you also see the game. And you could look at, like, a white screen, or like hang up a sheet or whatever.
Well, they have that.
And look at that through glass.
Through glass.
But you won't have like a mirror. I know what you're talking about, like the green screen where you could videotape and where you actually look like you're in the game to somebody on video. But you yourself don't look like, it doesn't look realistic when you yourself is playing the game with these big goggles on. I mean, sure, it's fun, but I just think that like that hand-eye coordination would be better if you were actually be able to see your surroundings as well as the game.
I know what you're saying. I saw this one thing. I can't remember what like E3 was at or some kind of reveal, but they were doing it with Minecraft, and basically like, it was like virtual reality, and they had a table, and they brought up a Minecraft table virtually, like on the actual table in the room, so you can kind of I guess see around the table, and then you can like touch the blocks and make them break, like. Out, and that was like pretty cool, but what you were saying is they literally like if you're somewhere with this virtual reality headset, you could like basically project the game on the wall, and that would be your TV screen, and you'd be playing it with the headset, but it would look like the headset, like the game was on the wall. Right. If that makes sense. So it's like almost like bringing a flat screen anywhere to play the game with the headset on, I guess is the way.
So you have the game projected on the wall, and you have the headset on?
You can only see it through the headset, the way that it's projected, I think. It's like almost like seeing a screen through the headset on the wall. I don't know how to explain it when I was showing you the video, but it was weird, and it was years ago. It wasn't like a year ago or 2 years. I think it was like 2 to 3 years ago. It never took off. Like I said, I never see it being something that will be competed in. But I might like it's there right now. It's really expensive.
Right.
It's cool. It's at every Call of Duty event you go to. You can test it, and they're trying to get it out that way. But I don't know how the graphics are. They look really shitty when you're looking at a TV screen and you can see what someone's seeing. And you're watching them do it. Like they'll be like inside the headset, and there'll be a TV screen so you can see what they see from the outside. The graphics are really bad. I think it'll be years before it happens, but I can kind of see that being something new. I like what they did with the Switch, with the Nintendo Switch. Right now, they did a new Xbox. It's called the Xbox One X. Such a shitty name. But it was supposed to be the Xbox Scorpio, but it has like the computing power of like my PC inside of it. So it's almost like running how a PC would run in a console. Something really cool that they've been doing lately is on a game called Rocket League. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Yeah.
It's
with the cars
so
and
much
like
fun.
The soccer, basically.
So much fun. The esport for that right now, it's super entertaining to watch, but I don't know how much it's actually going to blow up. There is a small market for it right now. Could be bigger maybe, but you can actually play with people on PlayStation, Xbox. Like, you can connect and play, which is crazy. I feel like that might be the next big thing, is being able to play cross-platform. Once you break down that barrier,
right,
your kind of like limitations are endless. A lot of stuff that you can do, because it's getting to a point where all the consoles basically have the same shit inside of them. PCs can have more, and that's why the PC games are way more intricate, and graphics are way better, and you need, like, I have a $1,400 PC and I'm still not running Battlegrounds with the highest settings because it's just like so intensive. And granted, Battlegrounds isn't even in the beta, it's in like the alpha, I'm pretty sure still. It's in like the pre phase. And H1Z1 was in a beta for a very long time, but they still like sold it to everyone, and everyone loved playing it still, even though it was shitty like that. But I know they're making Battlegrounds for Xbox soon, and I think that's the next bigger thing. But we're 30 minutes in, John.
yes,
No limit on how long this is going to be, but I do have another topic I want to go into. So we got to the point of like talking about your generation versus my generation and the where it came from. What does esports need to do to catch the attention of people who are 30 years old and over, who may have grown up with these games? This wasn't even really a hobby as much as it is now for a lot of people, and that you couldn't compete, and you kind of just did it for pastime. If you were bored, like you played a game or two, or had some buddies over and you played a game or two, and then you guys went out. But where does esports have to go to catch the attention of people who aren't in it right now in the generation? You know what I mean? Like millennials or
the people that they lost, like just growing up in life and stuff, and families and kids. Are you talking about like those people, or the people that just really never played to begin with?
We'll start with those people who, like let's say you, for example. You grew up playing all these games. You even played Halo for a long time, and you were playing Call of Duty with Joe, and you had like fun doing this for like recreational. What do you have? What needs to happen for you to be interested enough to turn on Twitch and watch a competition? Do you have to pull back some of the old titles? Do you have to?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know if it's possible. I mean, just like life happens, you know, families, kids, work. You start getting interested in money and, your family and stuff like that. And with gaming, a lot of people, especially me, get sucked into certain games, and that's why I really don't like to watch, like TV and episodes of just, Lost or Breaking Bad or Walking Dead, just because it's, as soon as I start, it just eats up your whole life.
Oh, it does.
It eats up your time, and all these people have, so many shows that they're trying to watch on Netflix that it just sucks up your time. And like, I'd rather not watch TV like that, just because I don't want to get sucked up and I don't want to get distracted and turn my brain into mush. So with gaming, I would think that I would get sucked in again, and just could be doing something, productive, because I'm not going to be making any money with gaming. I've been out of the game for 8 years, 7, 8 years. Last time I played Xbox was 6 years ago.
I definitely feel like the market for competing is going to be, it's going to take a minute to build it up. It's going to be people who are like a little bit older than me, who started off in like early Call of Duties, and then they eventually get older and they want to keep watching it grow.
Right.
But then they can be like, oh, I competed when it was this. And like, I feel like that might be the market. But I mean, even you to right now watch gamer YouTube videos, right?
Right.
Is there a difference between esports and those gamer YouTube videos? If there was an event on for an hour, would you watch that over watching a YouTube video, play it in the background? Would that catch your attention same way? Or are you looking for something that's like funny?
Yeah, I'm looking for entertainment,
But in a way, it's still, it's because to me, it's so much, streaming so much different than YouTube, and YouTube so much different than streaming, and both of those are on another continent when it comes to competing, because they're all just like, I'm involved in all three. I know what it takes to do YouTube and to either do competitive or like do YouTube videos on games or do vlogs or do podcasts or do funny videos, and then I know what it takes to be a streamer and I know what it takes to be a competitor. But at the end of the day, it's all in the same category of video games, whether it's esports or video games. I feel like no matter what, if somehow we're drawing your attention on one platform, we're kind of winning in that sense of, you know, growing our viewership across, even though it's maybe just Dachi on YouTube or, you know, jump scare funny YouTube videos and stuff like that. I still feel like it's going to be big one way or another. But I just don't, like, I always sit down and try to figure out how do you get a 50-year-old guy or 60-year-old girl to watch an esport or a YouTube video like that. Like, what do you, because that's, regardless of people who are, like, you're really going towards people who are the age of, like, 8 to, like, 26 to 28 right now, I feel.
Right.
And if we want to take it to the next level, we got to get more of an age group in there as well, I think, to get more people.
Well, when you lose people on the back end that are 25, 30 years old, you're also gaining everybody on the front end.
That's true.
You're gaining more younger people, that are going to be in the, in the realm of gaming for the next 20 to 25 years. So you're going to have those, let's call them customers for gaming, when you lose on the back end. So you're constantly, that flow is constantly in of that age bracket. So I don't necessarily know that it needs, esports would need to go that way. Sports.
Yeah.
I thought
you're not my
EA
brother.
Sports. It used to be EA Sports.
Well, I mean, that's like sport games.
Right.
But I feel that another way that we're going to start gaining viewership is because I know that there's a lot of colleges that are giving out scholarships to have competitive teams for their school, for like League of Legends and stuff. It's slow, but it's starting. Why are you picking it up on the mic?
Oh, so
and I was like looking at the thing bouncing. But colleges are picking up esports teams. I don't know the names of the investors. There's like players for the Atlanta Falcons, one player I want to say, that owns part of a gaming organization called Rise, or he did. Steve Aoki has investments into a gaming organization called Rogue. Big time investors like that are investing. I think that you could potentially see the Patriots buy out an organization and maybe call themselves the Patriots, or having like a state-based team, like the team of Ohio or the team of Kentucky or something. I almost like, because like we have, in worldwide competitions, when you have like North America represents with like these 4 teams, and you have like the EU represents with these 3 teams, and Australia represents with these 4 teams, you have like a worldwide tournament. I mean, it pulls like, you'll watch like the EU teams play and they'll pull a lot of viewership from the EU fan base because they want to see their teams win, but I can almost see that being like a thing maybe if you get like states to come in, or if you get like, if that happens and you kind of have people who are in that state that'll bump that viewership, or if you have kids that are going to college and they're going to these competitions, maybe you have their parents that come out to watch it and that bumps the viewership a little bit because their parents turn on at home and watch their kid play at school.
right.
I feel like those are a couple ways to get older people to get into it. I know I have somebody at work, you met Mark, like 48, 49, and I tell him about this every day. Like, I'm like, dude, like, look at this stream, and he's not interested in it. He will never go home and turn this on and watch it. But he's like, you caught my attention enough that it's kind of interesting to listen to you rant about this and listen to what esports is. Like, you have my attention, but I'm still not sold. Like, why do you want to watch other people play video games?
You asking me why I want to watch? Yes.
Kind of. Because, I mean, I have, like, a slight answer, but it's just, again, it just
the
appeals
character. The character who's playing the video games. Like, Dachi is hilarious, and he's extremely creative.
Mm-hmm.
I used to watch Van Oss for the last 4 years. I haven't really watched him in the past year.
Yeah.
And his group and everything, but I think it's just like the characters and the banter that goes on between like them and their friends, and just funny situations. It hasn't so much made me want to play the game Super Mario Maker with Dachi. like I would love to, I would love to play that game, but I don't think I can get into it anymore. Because I think like for the past 7 years, once you're out, the technology and everything has gone so far ahead, and everybody's so far ahead of you that you kind of lose out. You know what I mean?
I used to play Pokemon on the DS with Jake Durkee's dad. And the same,
Yeah.
we would all play Pokemon, and he had goals. He was like, "I want to fill up my Pokédex," and like we were like, "We want to get legendary." Like we all had like our own little goals going. We'd all help each other out. But I would love to see that more. I just don't know how. But I mean, I know what you're saying with like
One of my friends' parents go with the Pokemon. They go poke hunting or whatever.
well, that's Pokemon Go on the phone.
Right,
That's
right.
huge.
Yeah,
That's
and
huge.
that's caught attention of all the people that used to collect Pokemon cards when they first came out.
Yeah.
Ever when I was 7, 8 years old. But what is what's the reason why you want to get so many older people like interested in like watching gaming or gaming itself?
I feel like when you get an older generation into it, you get obviously more viewership. When you have more viewership, you lead to bigger sponsors because they want their stuff to be
You wanna
seen.
be sponsored by Viagra
Nope. We're sponsored by Arizona Tea.
and Rogaine.
But to get those bigger sponsors, I feel like you can bring an X amount of companies in, like Red Bull Esports right now and Monster Esports, and even Chipotle's gotten into the scene and Brisk, and that's all stuff that I feel like is a big younger generation thing. You have a lot of like teenagers and younger people who are like on Red Bulls all the time. And that's who they feel like they're marketing to a lot, and like Chipotle is always like going to a line of Chipotle. It's like a ton of teenagers and like
Yeah,
fast
college students.
blah,
and stuff.
right. We're trying to get like really quick food, and when you get like those sponsors in there, those are but when would you have Rogaine sponsoring something? Like Rogaine's not applying to any people under the age of 30. When do you get like the bigger the sponsors come in?
Maybe a toupee designing championship.
I just feel like it's never gonna hurt it to have more. It's never gonna be a bad thing the more people we get into it, the older the younger.
Right, but I think that you could relate more to younger generation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't see an older generation something. I don't see the connection between something happening in esports, where they bring back older games or they try and appeal to older people, because a lot of older people don't really play video games.
I see that.
It's just, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think there's like the connection between A and B.
There is. I think every person 2 years ago was addicted to Candy Crush.
Right. Well, that's on your phone.
And
That's
then
different.
that leads to what? You get like that addiction, and then you get an iPad, and all of a sudden you have Super Mario on there or whatever. You have something, and I feel like maybe one thing leads to another that you eventually stumble across getting.
I think app games are different because with computer games or PlayStation 3 game or 4 games, sorry, it's been a while. An Xbox, you have to actually sit down. If people that have jobs and kids and dinner to make and laundry to do and stuff like that, they're not going to sit around for 2-3 hours playing a video game. It just doesn't happen. They Candy Crush and everything they could do on their lunch break at work.
Yeah.
Or when they're sitting on the couch watching TV, they pull out their phone. But I think actually going and buying a console and buying a video game, I just don't see it happening no matter what.
Yeah, I see that.
But
I also feel like just kind of breaking off of like how many people were playing Candy Crush. Could you see? Not like Candy Crush being, I'll just use it as the example, but Candy Crush, let's say Candy Crush is the next big esport, and people are playing it on main stage in front of hundreds of thousands of people, and someone pulls out their phone and they're on Candy Crush, and then all of a sudden an ad comes up like, watch the championship for 100 grand live. Do you think that would appeal to somebody? If you had an app game that was related to, you had like, something like that?
I think the majority of people play Candy Crush to pass time, and they play it because it's fun to play. I don't think that the majority of people watch video game competitions, or the majority of people that play Candy Crush are interested in video game competition, or somebody else playing that game and competing against each other.
So no matter what way I
don't
throw it at
think
you, your verdict is the
it's not
younger
happening.
people are gonna keep. Eventually, it'll be to the point where when I'm 60, since I grew up in it, maybe that's when the 60-year-olds are gonna be in it 40 years.
Right, but you're talking about a competition. Like, I don't see a lot of people that play pool, billiards, watch competitions on TV. You know,
I
I
mean,
think they
that's
do
like-
it because they like to do it.
Well, there's like millions of people who play Call of Duty, but there's only a couple thousand people watching.
Right, right. I don't think that that's where a huge amount of fan base is going to go in the next 10 years. I think it's going to be, keep getting bigger because more people are going to want to compete because of their egos. Because everyone thinks that they're the best when there's a 3-year-old kid that sounds like a mouse on the, computer and he's kicking your ass. You're like, how the hell is this fucking kid beating me? You hear his mom yelling in the background, Timmy, go the fuck to bed. It's 11:30 at night and you got school in the morning, you red-headed piece of shit.
Jesus.
I had a bad childhood.
I'm seeing, I guess, like, the verdict, I'm with your verdict. It's going to be really hard to pull people into it that aren't into it right now, that didn't grow up on it. I definitely see more kids that try to compete when they see stuff like that. When I was in Dallas, we were at dinner and at Texas Day Brazil. And we were at dinner, and as soon as we were leaving for dinner, there was like 2 kids and their parents sitting kind of like next to us, and the mom was like, "Excuse me, did you guys come from that gaming competition that was in the convention center?" And we're like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Our son's competing in the karate competition." He was like 8, and he didn't feel good and he didn't want to compete today, and he saw the video game thing, and we bought tickets and we went in there for a while, and he had a really good time. He didn't even know what was happening, and they got like hoodies and shit, and they got all kinds of cool stuff. They're like, "Can you sign this poster we got?" We felt like superstars. We were there just playing for fun. And I just feel like when you have a kid like that who's 8 years old and he realizes how much more fun video games can be over going to a disciplined karate class, you just took someone from one thing and put it into, video games. And a lot of people think that's like a miserable thing to have kids play video games. When I see the money and the potential that can come out of it, I don't think it's a really bad thing. I also look back at myself in the last 4 years and realize how little time I spent out of this room, out of my setup. At the same time, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I have a billion friends, 100 people I can always talk to or whatever, and a really close group of friends. I mean, moving in with one of them that I met through gaming, and like, this is gonna be my life. But I always get torn. Like, is this a good thing that we try to pull kids into this and like potentially waste years of their lives sitting at a computer screen when they're not going to be good enough? Or, is it a really good thing because they can be good enough and they're winning millions of dollars? And like right now, the Overwatch League, which is a PC game, has a league where it actually has health benefits like medical care and retirement plans and stuff for their players, which is crazy.
Right.
So could it be a potential career path for a lot of people? What kind of careers is esports going to open that you can work as like a referee or a cast or analyst or a production guy or even a light crew that you would work on a TV show originally, but now all of a sudden you go to an MLG event and you're working the lights there. What's the difference? Like, I feel like there's a lot. I feel like it's better than worse, but
right.
Regardless.
I mean, along with anything, you got to take it the good with the bad, and you got to make sure that you don't like spend an insane amount of time on video games, like that. And if it's not making you any money, just know when to play and when not to play. Just like anything else, any other hobby, you can't get totally engulfed in fishing, because there's people who make money from fishing, professional anglers, but if all you're doing is going out and fishing and you're not making any money, then you got to figure out when to stop and do it as a hobby. But the people who do get lucky and make it a career are all, that's awesome, But
I mean, I see tons of pro players who have been pro players for a long time. If you look in the history of Call of Duty in the past 6 years, maybe, that you look at it, I'd say 70 to 80% of the people who started are still here. It's just like the system isn't the best for getting new players to the top, although it happens. I don't know if it's because those players are just so freaking good that, I mean, like I've competed against them and, you know, I know their skill level, but is it because they're so good that no one's ever going to be able to replace them, or is it there's like a different system of keeping those players up there? But I've seen so many people who were competing at that high level that are now casters. They go to the events and that's their career, or branch off into streaming and they took their popularity from competing and now they're big streamers. They make a lot of money off that. Or if they're just working, like I saw one person who came up in the gaming scene and now he works for YouTube. And it's just, I feel like it's just how you bounce off of it. If you know that you're not gonna be the competitor, and you're gonna be the number one player, how can you bounce off of that and make it something still? I feel like what it comes down to for putting the time into it. Because like right now, if I don't be a pro COD player this year, I know that my bounce back is entertainment. Like I know that that's what I want to do. I can do it at the same time, which is amazing. It's not going to be my 100% focus. It'll be my right second stream every time I play type deal. But I know that eventually, if I'm not a competitor, I need something else in it. I just know I want to do something with it. I feel like definitely that's something for kids. I don't know what that means for like schooling and stuff like that, but I don't know. I think there's going to be jobs that aren't even thought of yet for that.
For sure.
It's just going to come down to. That's another thing. I always want like parents to be aware of like how actually big it is, because Mom just found out I have a YouTube channel yesterday.
Really?
Which is like, I sit here all day and I don't just like play a video game and then get off. I'm like growing something, but it just comes down to like, how do you take a kid who knows about competing, who watches these streams, who knows he's good enough, and then you have a mom that just has no idea that these gamers make all this money, and they're like, this is a waste of your time, you need to go to school, and then you stop the next Scumpy, which is, I mean, like, best Call of Duty player, like, you stop that kid from being the next kid, because like their parents just aren't educated enough on it. So that's where I feel like we also need to have our advertisement.
I think this is all, the beginning of, just
absolutely.
Like, everyone's trying to figure out what's the best way to do this, or, the best way to do this. It's like growing, a whole new sport, pretty much. Like when football was just, the NFL was starting out, it's all about trial and error, like what works, what makes the most money, how do you find people who can, play better, or like who are the best competitors, everything. Like how do you promote that? How do you market this? What's the best way to attract more viewers, like you were talking about? What's the best way to hold competitions and stuff like that? I think it's all just in its birth and adolescence. So like once it starts to figure out all the details of everything, it's and structure it, I think it's people are going to be pretty quick to find out how big it actually is.
Oh yeah, I think it's all over the place right now. I think that every single time that a new game comes out, if it has the chance to be competitive, there's all of a sudden a tournament for it, and when the turnout isn't good and you just waste all the money, I feel like it dies in the competitive sense. I feel like with esports, it's such a big genre. There's Call of Duty and Counter-Strike and League of Legends and Halo and Gears of War and everything you can think of esports-wise, Rocket League, H1Z1, Battlegrounds that are just becoming competitive. Like where it's going to come to a point where I feel like they have to cut an esport. And regardless of how many people it's going to affect, it's just going to have to be like, we need to have like 3 big esports that everybody watches. Right. If we're going to get it on TV, if we're going to get it to be a national sport, if it wants to make it to the Olympics, if it wants to be big like that, because it's at the X Games, and it has been for the past couple of years, which is crazy big. But if we want to see it become like recognized as a sport, we have to pick a title or two to make it. I know that like the national sport of South Korea is League of Legends. The national sport, like what's ours, football? I'm pretty sure football or
probably
basketball or something like that. Like it's League of Legends on there. Those players are making $2 million a year on salary, and even buying out players right now in like Counter-Strike's like $500,000 to buy a player for your team out of their contract. And you get organizations that almost like farm these teams, and when they have a really good player and they know it, they'll raise his contract, and then when he wants to be bought out, that organization just makes a whole bunch of money because you just farm that player out for a year. But millions of dollar salaries and people in South Korea, and like when you watch, most of those people don't even do content. Like one time one guy streamed from South Korea on League of Legends and he pulled like 100,000 people watching him, which was like record breaking for a solo person streaming on Twitch, just on his first stream with one webcam, no graphics, no anything, no follow alerts, no subscription alerts, in a different language. Pulled that many people because he was that big in that country. So I definitely think it's going to be a question of how long is it going to take, who's going to make the right move.
I think it would be cool to like have different like the like professional teams, you know, in different states, and then like those states all competed. Like you have, you know, Cleveland Indians and Cleveland Browns
Yeah,
and
that's what I was
stuff like
saying with
that.
that.
Just have all those teams compete and have a national champion, and then that national champion competes with everyone else in the world. You know what I mean? I think that would draw the most viewership.
Well, the problem with taking people by state is that when it comes down to esports like League of Legends or Counter-Strike, the teamwork is better than this individual skill. You
Right.
can have the 5 best players on one team, throw them together on a team versus 5 B level people, but they've all been teaming for a really long time, and that teamwork
Right.
will prevail. But so it's on a globe thing right now where you have the best NA team play the best EU team, and that's a really big viewership. But like on a state level, how do you get like 4 gamers from Ohio to represent the state of Ohio to play against Indiana? Like all of my teammates, I have 2 in Ohio, and then 1 in Chicago and 1 in New York.
Yeah.
So it would just be really hard to find players from your region, especially since a lot of people are moving to, like, there's so many gamers in California, and then there's a lot in Chicago, and everyone's moving to Dallas right now because that's like the big capital for esports right now for whatever reason.
Yeah.
There's a lot of investors and stuff down there. It's interesting right now. So I think it'd be cool, but I just don't know how it'd be done.
Not like by states, more or less like have a cap to how many teams there are. You know what I mean? Like 200 teams or 150 teams, and it's just like every year it's a competition. You know, like poker. How poker is, every year they have the World Series of Poker. So you have all these people, and it's like the course of 2 months. You know, they just, or I don't know, it's like maybe a month and a half, 2 months, and they just constantly play every year they play and all that, and they have the competition. Like you guys should have a competition of like the 200 best teams, or there should be a cap on it, and then everybody should play until, you know, there's one final person.
We kind of have that with like,
But you have a ton of different ones and a ton of different people at all different skill levels, you know, that it's just like a 2-day event, you know.
well, we also have what we have at like the end of the year where we just have for Call of Duty was Call of Duty Championship, which was 32 of the best teams from around the world.
Yeah.
Which is like 20 from NA, or like 16 from NA, like 10 from EU, and a couple from Australia, where it's like popular. But it is like, that's what we all compete for all years, Call of Duty Champs. Every little event that we go to, besides the prize money, whatever you place, you get points for your team, and then they take like the 10 highest points out of North America, and then the last 6 spots is like a last chance tournament that you play in. So it's kind of like that on a smaller scale with smaller teams. But I'm not sure, they're not doing that for all the esports yet. There's only big ones. It's like Halo, Call of Duty, Counter-Strike. I don't think Counter-Strike does that, to be honest. I know League of Legends does. Dota just had a $22 million tournament, $22 million prize pool, which is ridiculous. But I mean, it's definitely, I see what you're saying, and it's kind of being done. I just don't think it's at a big enough level yet to notice it.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're at an hour. Is there anything else you want to touch on?
It's your job, sir.
I have a list. I didn't even really have to look at it. How much more to talk about? We talked about basically everything I wanted to hit. That was a really good conversation, though.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Have you on like every single week? Cause because no one else wants to do it. If you want to be a part of the podcast,
call this number.
But anyway, it's not stream, podcast, YouTuber. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you guys like this podcast, make sure to check out last week's podcast, which I talked with Stacks about esports media, which was a great conversation. The week before was Call of Duty Champs, even though it's over. Pretty good conversation. Thank you so much, John, for stopping on the podcast.
Thank you, sir.
Like I said, John is probably the first reason why I'm still in this, because he grew me up on video games to the point where I was playing Grand Theft Auto at 4 and playing all these video games because he had the console and he supplied me with everything to do. And then he's the very last reason why I'm gunning for YouTube and Twitch, because he's the one who pushed me to do content creation.
Yeah, it took a while.
Which is a whole other podcast that we can easily do.
Yeah.
But it did take me a really long time to realize that I had the, not even the equipment, but the potential to do all this stuff. So, anyways, we'll get into that podcast soon, I'm sure. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to, like the video, comment in the video. Actually, we didn't do the podcast question of the day.
What's the pack?
So you get to ask the podcast question of the day, and then everyone in the comments gets to answer it, and it could be whatever you want.
Anything I want?
It could be, what's your favorite color, or it could be, what do you think the next week's sponsor is going to be, or...
For you, or for...
Whatever you want the question to be.
Okay. What is everybody's idea on cleaning up all the plastic in it? I guess there's like an island. No, I don't get it.
There's like...
Plastic. Just a whole plastic island. What is your favorite drink? And if it's Arizona, what is your favorite Arizona drink?
Fair.
Mine is this. Iced tea with lemon.
Mine's Arnold Palmer, sugar-free. Absolute favorite. All right, that's a fantastic question because all I do is crack open cold ones on stream. I can go through like 4 Arnold Palmers a day.
Crack open a cold one.
Like I said, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, make sure to leave a comment, make sure to subscribe, make sure to share with your friends, and we'll see you next Saturday for the next podcast. Thank you guys so much.